This week on Hermitcraft, when you're all alone and there's no one else online, beware of the Grand Central Railway. They say that the spectre that haunts those cursed tracks is a fish, I guess? Welcome to the Hermitcraft Recap, which is now a ghost hunting show, apparently. Just last week, we reported on an unusual encounter Rendog had when working near the Grand Central Station of the Hermitcraft Rail network. And now, Grian has seen the floating fish with the body of a salmon and the head of another salmon roaming the architect platform he was working on. And just like before, the ghost disappeared without a track, because it broke a piece of track and placed a sea pickle in its place.
Sorry, I am the only person online? Where did he go? What was that?
One time it would have been a fluke, but at two instances, it's fair to call it a haunting. Will Hermitcraft call in the mystery machine, or will the Phantom of the Rails run rampant on the high-speed lines? Let's just take a look at all the events and mishaps that occurred on the Hermitcraft server this week, and maybe find out. Spoilers, we don't find out. While on the topic of ghastly things, we can't not mention that this season's Nether hub is nigh complete at this point. It took the contribution of many a hermit to gather materials, dig netherrack, and place walls, but by now, through the magic of a Cubfan concrete time-lapse and an Azuma Void epic mega episode, the approximate map of the server, as well as the inky blackness surrounding it, is finished. We also shouldn't discount the contributions of Impulse SV, who is responsible for a figurative ocean of blue carpet, and Joe Hills, who provided pumpkins when sea lanterns were in short supply and helped to seal everything off with grey glass. As per usual, it's hard to convey just the scale of it all in a recap made to be short and to the point, so we'd recommend you see the magic unfold in the episode yourself. Plus, it has X reacting to Doc M's working toilets. That's a bonus.
You can do your stuff.
Does it flush properly though? Because this one over here, it's got a floater on it. Oh,
yes.
Look at what someone's left behind.
Go ahead and flush it.
Oh, it stinks. And it's gone.
It's back.
It's back.
It's clogged up.
They say one man's trash is another man's treasure, and Doc M spent the week treasuring waste disposal mechanisms. Not content with making a realistic garbage can in the subway station, complete with a Grian head poking out like Oscar the Grouch had a makeover, Doc set up possibly the most detailed restroom built in Minecraft to date. The flushable toilets were only phase 1. The true masterstroke is a mirror opposite the door, which not only shows a reflection of the room you're standing in, but also releases a zombie, baited by a villager under the floor, to be a mirror image of the player walking into the room. Once he's trapped the zombie in the mirror world, he even equips it with diamond armor and a spare elytra, since most hermits will actually be dressed that way. Bonus points for the zombie looking exactly like what bathroom lighting normally does to your face.
And store him away. Coolio.
Now, of all things to rise from the dead the other day, who thought ConCorp would be one? Everyone. Literally everyone thought that. No one bought that retirement shtick for a second. Though what people did buy is a bunch of stuff from their closed down stores, which was awfully polite of them to break in and buy things instead of stealing them.
This might be more than the shop has made so far this season. While it was closed. So it made more while it was closed than it was open.
Impressed by their profits, Cubfan and Good Times with Scar declare themselves unretired and break open all of the associated ConCorp businesses. Just in time too, as Scar is about to need a whole lot of money to recover his possessions after the rocket he built in his backyard takes off. A whole season 5 of pointing this out to him, and here we are, doing the space stuff 2 blocks away from a civilian wall. Behind the civilian wall, Scar has organised fine living for himself, since half the week was spent interior decorating his new home. The mission control, however, went to the country club basement, where a security room was already in the works, with cameras pointed to all of the potential points of interest, and Grian's base too. The country club gets another semi-permanent resident this week, as Joe Hills gets a tour from Cubfan after helping him dig some gravel, and decides the golfing life is for him. So after getting very confused at Azuma's repair shop and swiping 5 diamonds in exchange for some kelp he had handy, then digging up a few extra shiny rocks from below the musical threat defense bunker, Joe hands over his membership fee and settles in for an afternoon on the green. We can't tell if his aim is getting worse or better, but at least it's okay for him to use the swimming facilities now.
Yeah, I feel like you're missing some of the original colonies on your American flag, but obviously it's Minecraft, so we work with the constraints we could have. Sorry, Connecticut, you didn't make the cut.
Well, why play well when you can play with style? And you can play with style now that Cub added a ball marker boutique, which is really just a custom banner shop, but with some really nice designs. For the newer players, the golf club now offers a section with the rules of the game conveniently summed up and illustrated. For the experienced ones, all courses were equipped with distance markers every 50 blocks so you can measure your shots more easily. And for all players regardless, Cub gathered all of the concrete imaginable to help out the Nether Hub project.
At this point, I could tell you that gathering all the remaining materials for the Nether Hub project was difficult. But this is ConCorp.
A task as massive and no less block-breaky is the upcoming battle with 100 withers that the hermits have planned thanks to Iskal's giant farm. To prepare for the Lagfest and maybe give the group a better chance, Azuma digs out an area for it and preps it with several quadruple beacon pyramids to grant the Paladin bunch every effect available, which, yes, he also had to fight some withers to make. After all, you can't make an omelette without making a smaller omelette first.
I've also spoken to Tango as well, who was originally going to provide us with the skulls. He's going to provide us with the iron because he's got the iron farm, so we're going to go over to the shop and pinch 14 stacks.
Iskal has been breaking a few eggheads, specifically the ones who won't give him perfect farming trades. Having drafted up an automatic shutoff switch for his villager breeder, he resorts to building a water park to get them into the system in the first place. Once this water-based snakes and ladders game has finally deposited them into the sorting machine, Iskal eventually gets a farmer with some favourable trades and decides to go all out, making these trades as convenient for him as possible. So he puts together what he calls an ETM, an Emerald Transaction Machine, surrounded by self-resetting shulker boxes full of crops from his farms.
If I take all of these melons out, then I should get a new shulker box. Yes! It works! It works! And then the idea would be that I can just reach everything from one point here.
This sets back his plans to redirect the carrot farm into the villager breeder, but then he remembers he's already got a second carrot farm built elsewhere in his ravine base, thereby proving that other carrot farms can exist and that he doesn't have to use the laboratory to feed the test subjects. Meanwhile, his lab partner, Stress Monster, digs a giant tunnel leading away from the lab, and while you might think it's because she wants to get as far away as possible from this madman and his pet villagers, it's actually so she can connect the ever-progressing iceberg fort to the lab project for more convenient access to both. No prizes for guessing what colour scheme she chooses for the finished tunnel, but it manages to look both retro and atmospheric, like a Bakelite radio with some RGB mood lighting.
Very happy with our gorgeous magenta walls. I think they look perfect.
Impulse SV has been raiding the end like a boss.
I have been raiding the end like a boss.
And he really needed to, because his own shulker box delivery system needed a grand total of 800 shulker boxes, and buying them would probably mean more diamonds than any of us can count. After a trip to the log farm, he crafts 400 boxes, which is only half of what he needs, the absolute mad lad, but it's enough for now. At least he can take a break for long enough to finally collect his share of the Big Logs profits from his safety deposit box at the post office. Big Logs is a company with big overheads, but Rendog did his best to lower them this week by actually putting a roof on the factory. It was such a massive undertaking that it required designing in a creative world first, took a whole lot of building in survival, and then a great deal of spawn-proofing in the interior. So it's no surprise that Ren also hired Good Times with Scar to help terraforming the Fairy Pirate Grotto. Speaking of which, Ren still has a chance to work on the spiral storage system he started last week, setting up the water streams for himself and False to empty their inventories into, and putting together the first batch of item filters. His duties at the Hermitcraft Rail Network also come a-calling, although part of it is just a solid critique of Iskal's colour theory.
I mean, listen, the redstone's amazing. What you've done here, superb. Okay, so the red button takes me onto the left line, which is orange. And the green button takes me right? Yeah?
Yes, yeah, right.
Onto the line that's also orange. And then the white button takes me straight, right? Onto the line that's actually green. So...
when you say it like that?
We're waiting on him to drop a similar diss track on False's new bulk storage area, because that one doesn't even have a feature where you throw all your stuff into a cavern like some sort of sacrifice to the greater beings. No, really, it's still a neat chest room, just more useful than it is pizzazz. But if you still want to throw someone off something dramatically, False just finished building her tallest build at the district yet, the Clock Tower. It was about time she built one of those.
Oh yeah, I mean the lighting again is not done, but it is glowing, which is nice.
But if we're talking storage systems, there is one still unmatched in its convenience.
Honestly, at this point, unless somebody is going to make me a sorter, this isn't going anywhere.
Having kidnapped a farmer off of Iskal and named him Bill to fit in with Korgoth and Barlog, Grian sets his sights on the aforementioned Architect train station. There was an island in the way. It's gone now. The regular white concrete and glass is applied, even with a big letter A over the platform. Now for a method of transportation intended for those without elytra, it really doesn't look accessible via anything other than elytra. Guess if you haven't gotten your wings yet, you can still take a look at the ball and the space car part and then go on your merry way. And to court you from both sides of the alphabet, they reveal that after all the comment suggestions, the Architects run super shop will be named Zahara. No doubt foreshadowing how many of the customers will get lost in it and eventually starve.
Sahara. Because, it's the Amazon rainforest and it's the Sahara Desert. So they're kind of like, opposites in a way, but on the same line of thinking.
It's a project Mumbo will have a little bit more time for now that he's got automated TNT machines doing the big dig for him. Watching them destroy the landscape in time-lapse form is oddly relaxing. Watching him jump into lava because of server lag is less so.
I'm definitely dead, but Minecraft hasn't realised yet.
One life-saving game crash later, he returns to his base for some slightly less death-defying work, trading with villagers until he finds 2 farmers for his crop farms, connecting said crop farms up to the storage system, and swapping all the coral blocks in his tropical oasis for live fish.
I don't understand why it took me so long to just kind of admit defeat on this sort of thing, but I actually much prefer it without anything.
And finally there's TFC, who wants to bring trade, or at least sensible rationing, to his vault base. So he sets up a storage area connected to a shop, lighting the whole thing up with end rods as he goes. But even with that done, he's got more fluorescent lights than he knows what to do with, so with no more need for chorus fruit popcorn, he swaps his chorus plants out for a tree farm.
Get some trees growing in here. Get in here, harvest everything, and then stand around for 15 to 30 minutes or so while they all grow, and then come through here and harvest them again.
Man, I could really go for some popcorn right now. Luckily for me, that's about it for this week's recap. Our writer is LoyXP, and my name is Pixel Riffs. This week we found diamonds in the sky, and if you want to know how that's possible outside of a Rihanna song, check out the latest episode of Cobble Clicker in the End Screen Theatre. Don't forget to leave a like while you're still here and subscribe so you won't miss future recaps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.